It is very clear that billions or millions of people do not realize that it is possible that every melanin dominant human being has 100% chance of divine calling. And what is this that we call divine calling? We know that a selective few will truly be initiated ukutwasa, kushonongorwa, kusutswa, and they would become sangoma or shamans, ngangas, or specialists in various activities. But the question is, have they been called really by the gods? And what do we mean they've been called by the gods? Subscribe to our channel, Hamiti Iburu Ethics. Let us walk this journey together. You can also engage us and study with us at Bantu University, because some of the things that we are now going to do comprehensively we will do on Bantu University in our Bantu Foundation courses and Mysteries courses. We will no longer be releasing a lot of mystical information on our YouTube channel because it's very comprehensive and we want it to be very clear. Beginning this month, once every month, we shall be conducting a live YouTube video discussion. Hamiti Iburu Ethics live. This month is on the 19th of October on the Sabbath or Saturday, and the title is Before the Gods Came Into Being. It will be on YouTube live 6:30 a.m. Zimbabwean time, so you can do your own calculation and see what time it will be. It's a very important topic, but today, if you listen and walk with us in this video to the last, you will be able to get the details and much of the information about whether you have been called by the gods or not. The real agenda here is we want to look at the real creator, who is unknowable, and the reasons why you should know who the real creator is, and also what actually has some inclinations of the real creator within you. And then we shall offer briefly 3 proofs that you can look at and know that I have been called by the gods, using evidence of inner knowing and the numinous. So let's look at the real creator, who is unknowable and dwells beyond the chasm. And this creator is not a spirit, is not a being, and this creator is not a physical being. He is not your father. He didn't create you, he didn't create the university, or she didn't create anything, or it didn't create anything, because this creator has no gender, is genderless, nameless, unreachable by the human mind, brain, or spirit. We know that the human brain, as well as anything that it invents and creates, proves that it is severely limited and useless when it comes to the issue of the unknowable, the real one. These terms that we are using as names for the real creator, unknowable one, are substitutional, and they must not be understood by your brain and your thinking as actual nomen proprium. Now, let's look at what makes the human brain useless when we face the real creator. We shall give 6 factors. The first one is the paradox of omnipotence. It is important for us to say that when you say omnipotence, you are not talking about the real creator. You are talking about deities. Because the omnipotence paradox, where we look that the creator, who is an omnipotent being, creates a stone which is larger and bigger than him to lift up, and if he can then still be able to lift it, proving that he's all powerful, that is known as the paradox of omnipotence, because the creator is now confined to this paradox of being able to create something that he can either lift or he can not lift. That is subscribed only to the deities, not the real creator, but to the gods. And let's look at the limits of our human perception, which we have alluded to. Our senses and cognitive abilities perceive and understand the world within very tiny, narrow, specific ranges. You can see here, this is the whole light spectrum, and we can see a tiny little flare of it. Therefore, for you to come today and claim either that you have got spiritual eyes, you can see the real creator, you are lying. You are telling us of subjectivity of what you think and what you imagine. Same thing with matter. The matter that is normal to us is only 4% of the real matter, the dark energy and the dark matter that is out there. So it is very important that we understand these matters. When we look at the problem of evil with our minds vis-a-vis the real creator, we understand that if the real creator is benevolent and omnipotent, and that he exists according to what we understand and what we have been taught by religions, why does evil exist in the world? This is a classical philosophical question that has troubled thinkers for centuries, proving once more that our human brain cannot understand the real creator, but can understand and debate issues of the deities. Let's look at anthropic principle. This anthropic principle suggests that the universe seems to be finely tuned for life, because if it wasn't tuned for life, we wouldn't be here to observe it. This could be interpreted as evidence of the creator who designed the universe with life in mind. However, it could also be explained through knowing that it is the gods that created the natural processes and the humans. That's why the universe we live in is dualistic, where you must kill something conscious, something sentient, to live. Otherwise, you will perish. That it can be understood the other way. Let's look at number 5, the infinite regress. If a creator created the universe, who created the creator? This question leads us to an infinite system of questions that will go far and beyond. And this is our proof that the real creator is beyond human knowledge. Let's conclude by looking at the sixth of all the 5 that we have looked for, proofs that the human brain is totally useless. It is the incomprehensibility of the infinite. The creator is infinite. That is what we are told. But we know that the creator is beyond infinite, because the infinite has attributes that we can look at and understand essentially, because you can define the infinite by time and space or beyond that, but the real creator lies beyond anything we can comprehend. Now, let us say there is no God or a goddess, no ancestor, no guru, no genius, no scientist, no prophet, no preacher, no spirituality, no religion, no secular organization, church, mosque, temple, synagogue, esoteric or exoteric guild that has ever and will ever be able to describe to any human being who walks on the earth so that they understand and comprehend and they pray or praise the real creator. None. The real creator really does not need our praises, does not need our worship. For how can you praise or worship that which is unknowable? The real creator is something that is unknowable. Let us now go and realize something here. You cannot sin against the real creator. We worship deities and revere our ancestors. When you use the term God, you are speaking of a deity. You cannot use the term God and you speak of the real creator who is unknowable, because God is a nomen proprium, is an actual name of a deity. We can only sin against ourselves, against other human beings, against nature, against our ancestors, and against the divinities or the gods and the goddesses. You accept that it is the gods that created the universe or universes and all the laws of physics, biology, and chemistry, and all first principles that you can come across. When we understand that the gods self-generated themselves out of the waters of Nyunyu, we know that the waters of Nyunyu represent all potential and all possibilities. That realization alone is not only mental, but it is the soul, an awakened divine spark that confirms that this teaching is true, and your brain will now understand the multiverse truth which we are taught and which is demonstrated to the real brain by the soul that is inside you and by something that is unknowable that is inside your soul, which has been given the term Mwea or Munu, divine spark or the car that must be awakened during this time of life on earth, because it is the seed of what we call immortality. That is the actual inclination of the real creator residing in you. But you have to battle and fight to retain it, because the gods that imparted us this knowledge have left the earth with this possibility of us accessing this knowledge. And the other evil gods are teaching you and have the possibility of inspiring you to veer off from this understanding and get dabbled and sell out that potential and possibility to them gods. Have you ever been called by the real gods? Let's look at what our ancestors and gods taught us. When you go to the instructions of Tao Te, written 3400 BCE, there is one passage there that suggests that wisdom is something that is divinely inspired, that comes from the gods and is given to those who deserve it. It says, them gods loves obedience and hates disobedience. It is them who give understanding to the teachable. Who teaches these people? The gods teaches you. This suggests that understanding and wisdom comes directly from divine favor and is bestowed upon those who are obedient and respectful. Obeying the gods means knowing Unu and Maati and doing your best of your abilities and physicality to understand and do them, not just blindly by faith. We are not encouraged to do so. When you go to the maximum of Amenemope, written 1500 before Common Era, one passage states that, give ears and hear what is said. Give your mind over to their interpretation. It is profitable to put them in your heart. But woe to him who neglects them. He is empty inside. The gods give wisdom to the man or woman who they love. Divine calling and divine favor. It suggests that the wisdom that you want, the real wisdom, is not something that everyone can attain, but it is a gift from the gods to those whom they have called to actively cause them to seek and internalize their ethical teachings. So we go to the prophet Neferetem. He says, then a king will come from the south, Ameni, the justified by name, son of a woman of Tarseti, child of Upper Hamit. He will take the white crown, he will wear the red crown, he will unite the two mighty ones and satisfy the two laws with that which they desire. This prophecy speaks to the idea that certain individuals, in this case a king, or you, or anybody who would be divinely selected, called and imbued with the authority to understand wisdom, and that wisdom restores order in their life. This is the prophet and the teachings of our ancestors. The eloquent peasant is another teaching. At one point, the high official Renzi says of the peasant's eloquence, it is the God who has taught you these things, not man. So when you understand the principles here, it means Jgahuti, one of the gods of wisdom, writing, and knowledge, who was believed to bestow divine knowledge and understanding upon certain individuals, particularly scribes and scholars, those who seek this knowledge, in these hymns dedicated to him, a certain passage says, Jgahute, Lord of wisdom, the great God who illuminates the minds of men, he who gives knowledge to the wise, who makes the scribe skillful in his calling. So this hymn is telling us that there are those that dedicate themselves to do what the God teaches, to do what the ancestors are instructing us here, and they achieve a goal of being called by them gods. Divine calling is a deeply personal and subjective experience that involves both an internal conviction and external validation. How can one recognize a divine calling? What are some of the common signs of these experiences? Well, we consider the most challenging one being the realization that one would come to understand that the real creator is really not understandable or not knowable beyond anything. Is not a spirit, is not a being. This is the most difficult bridge or difficult test for one who has been called by the gods. The human mind is weak, is useless. It waits and it will have to benefit from an awakened soul or awakened car in the soul, moya, mweya in the soul. This is completely different from becoming a inyanga or a shaman or a sangoma, because those are specialized jobs that even those ngangas, even those healers and the gurus may not even come to understand that they are self-generated deities or gods. They might not even understand the issue about the divine spark. So what we know is that the gods and your ancestors are calling you. The question is, once you know that the gods, and once you think and suspect that the gods and your ancestors are calling you, the question that arises in your mind is, what can I do? How do I know? Then for us is, will you rise and take up your place in history once again? Will you pursue in detail how to know if you are being called by the gods? And are you able to handle the proofs for your self-confirmation? The 3 proofs of being called by the gods: divine calling, inner knowing, and the luminous. Yes, you have to enroll today into Bantu Foundation University. You have to invest in this true legacy. You have to work with those that are calling you and giving you these suggestions to investigate your life pattern. And for the details of these 3 major keys: divine calling, inner knowing, and the luminous, for you to know the details, because these are voluminous, lifelong studies that our ancestors, the divinities, have done. We cannot give them here. We cannot share them here. YouTube cannot carry videos for that. It's vast. So if you want this information, you have to understand that it is your will and your decision that matters most here. You have to enroll into Bantu Foundation University to rediscover and reclaim that right, so that you can rise up and so that you can be born great in the spirit today. Contact us on our email, john@marifado.com. You can also visit us on www.marifado.org. You can go to our Instagram, which we are showing. Until we meet again, this message is for you. If you think yes, it matters most, please subscribe, get in touch, send our message, share our videos, and leave a comment. Asante sana. Till we meet again, tatenda, siyabonga, edupe, enkos, twalumba. Thank you. Thank you to the gods and to our ancestors. I say, Amen. For all the hearers, may they benefit.